Hey, book babes, I'm Aubrey,
And I'm Peyton.
and today we are reacting to your mid year check in. Or at least what everyone put in as their most read books so far this year on Goodreads.
Yes, so join us with a cup of coffee as we dive between these paper sheets.
All right.
Let's do it. All right, everyone. Welcome to this podcast episode. Aubrey in a minute is going to, in a couple seconds, is going to tell you what this is all about. This is a really cool thing Goodreads is doing for us. But I just want to let everyone know there will be no spoilers. No spoilers in this episode. If anything, we're
Yes.
just going to see if we recommend the book, if we write it and it's on the list. So to know if it's popular but worth your time or popular and such a downer. So let us know, Aubrey, what is this
Yes.
list?
Okay, so we've done a few reacting to Goodreads lists before, but typically those are the lists that is like Goodreads Choice Awards, where everyone's voting for what they think like the best new book was. This is a little different. So everyone who participates in the Goodreads reading challenge, which I think Goodreads said that there's like 7 million people who do, obviously, you're marking the books that you want to read and that you have read so far. And so, what Goodreads did is at this mid year check in point, they released the top books that everyone was reading this year. So, it doesn't mean that it was necessarily good, it just means that it's what we were reading. And there, so far this year, people have read 295 million books. So it's not about the quality of the books, it's just about a straight popularity contest. So we're going to get in there and see if we have read what you guys have been reading.
Yes. I'm so excited for this. I peeked at the list when it popped up right away.
Yes.
But I'm excited. I am kind of blind reacting to this. Not
I know. I was looking at the categories and I was trying to like squint my hands so that way I didn't see all of the covers. I think we're going to jump right into the fantasy section, our bread and butter, and then we'll kind of work backwards through the list of just general thoughts.
Yeah. Okay, so fantasy, are we just gonna I didn't even look. So they give us 12. So we can
Yes.
just basically we'll definitely tell you what number 1 is, but we'll kind of
Mhm.
skim through
Yes.
and be like, "Oh, we haven't read that. I don't really have anything to say." But there are some good ones on here, guys.
Yes, and they are in order of popularity. Like number 1 is the most read book so far in
I'm
2024 fantasy
surprised.
book. So number 1 is
The
The
Midnight
Midnight
Library.
Library, which I own and haven't read. I think it's number 1 because I think the Lit Fit girlies are reading it too.
Oh.
I think that's why 1 and 2 are on this list and maybe
Yeah.
even 3
Yeah. Oh my
because
god, I cannot believe. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, because we're getting more than just the
Fantasy.
standard fantasy.
Yeah, so the Midnight Library is up there, which is, from what I understand, more of like magical realism.
Yeah, I think the plot is a girl is about to kill herself and kind of goes through and sees these like different paths her life could go in if it didn't happen.
And I haven't read this book, but everything I've heard about it is people are like, don't read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, weirdly enough, that's why I haven't read it yet, but maybe I should. But number
Yeah.
2, before
Mhm.
the coffee gets cold, is the best way to describe. I have both of these books that I read before the coffee gets cold, and I think I gave it like 5 stars.
Yeah.
Really, really cool collection of short stories, all about the same cafe, and it really I want to say this in the right way. It really
Mhm.
gets you thinking about how your little life choices matter so much in the grand scheme. So
Yeah.
the idea of before the coffee gets cold is there's this magical cafe, I believe in Japan, where
Yeah, I was going to say I think it's like
yeah.
that cuz Eastern storytelling has like a different like plot beats. And I
Oh
remember
yeah,
you saying that it's not going to feel like a typical western
absolutely not.
story.
No, but it is so fascinating. So
Yeah.
basically, you can go and talk to whoever has been to that cafe with you, but you have to. Oh my cat! But you have to. You have to.
Hello.
You have to stop talking with them and drink the coffee before it gets cold. If it gets cold, you're basically like the new ghost of the cafe. But yeah, I'm can you see cat but for our audio listeners, my cat Senna has decided to
To post up.
if she was even a little closer over and my camera would focus, you would see her butthole. Girl, she's trying to balance. Come on, God. Because the beginning of the episode, girl. Anyway, so yeah, before the coffee gets cold, really recommend. They make great coffee table books, and you'll read it in like an hour. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, 3 hours. Like it is so
Mhm.
great. We have a mother, sisters, husband and wife. Like it's great. Talks about grief. Great books. And I see it's on KU. So if you have Kindle Unlimited,
Oh, yeah, I did see that. So you can just sit down and enjoy it. It
yeah,
also is, like, very, like, cute and compact that I think it would look cute. Like, if you just want, like, to display a book
I
somewhere.
have them right over there together, and the colors are just so spring, and I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Highly
Love it,
recommend
love it,
those
love it.
actually. That's a good number 2 spot, but
That's
definitely not when
good.
I think fantasy. I think of
No.
them as literary fiction, so it's
Yeah,
really weird to see
absolutely.
them in the fantasy category, but I understand
Mhm.
why they're there.
Yeah, yeah, because we're very strictly adhering to genre with this list, unless like they never make it on the Goodreads Fantasy like Choice Awards because no one's
Yeah,
voting for it when you're comparing it to fantasy, but you're reading it. Which kind of brings us into a little bit of an older book. I think the other two aren't super recent,
I'm
but this
really
one.
surprised this is still on here.
Yes, Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. We've talked about this a good bit on the podcast. I think if you're interested in some prose, a Greek story, it's a good book. It wasn't for us the most entertaining book, but I enjoyed having read it. And I think that, that could be your bread and butter. So,
Yep, very for the prosy girls. And as
mhm.
well, this book didn't have a huge impact on me because it was so hyped up on Book Talk that
Yeah.
I was expecting to cry my eyes out during it, and
Hmm.
I just didn't. But if we want to skip one spot, Cersei is on here, which has
Yes.
been at the top of my TBR for like a year now. But Aubrey just read it, and she has nothing but great things to say about it.
Yes. I feel like if you want the Greek mythology, you want the prose. Cersei is such, to me, it was so much better, but I think it depends on what you like in a book. Song of Achilles is very like plot and war based, and it's kind of like the traumas of war and like becoming a hero. Whereas Cersei is much more like an internal, like woman's conflict, feminine rage book. And so I personally like connected with that a lot more and I just liked the story beats. Um but yes, Madeline Miller, she's also writing a Persephone Hades story, which I'm so excited. And when that
Like my
releases, we will
favorite.
definitely
We will
be
be reading that.
yes, right away.
Oh my
Going
god.
back up to number 6, real quick, is Babel by R.F. Kuang. She also wrote Yellow Face, which we reviewed earlier this year. All I will say for Babel is I feel so elitist for having read it. I don't know if I would recommend this. It's so good. Like the themes, the messaging, the writing, it's got a language based magic system. Like there's a lot of really, really interesting things on it, but she is a brick to read. It is like a slow, hard adult read. Rebecca is not holding your hand. You are just going through the story. And so I don't know. I read it. It took me an entire month to read it. Maybe listen.
Yeah, maybe listen to it. Yeah, I haven't other than the cover being amazing,
Yeah.
I haven't really had any want to read this book. But I remember when it came out. So if we're
Yes.
gonna like shoot down this list a little
Yeah.
bit, we haven't really read any of these, but like the
No.
Unmaking of June Farrow, I've seen. We Aubrey read Legends and Lattes, which is a part of
Yeah, book
the Travis
1-ish.
Baldry's
Mhm.
The
Uh,
Poppy War is on here, which is another Arf Wong
yes.
book, which is on my TBR and I would like to read.
I would. That's like high fantasy, and I've heard it's very brutalist and a little gory. I did hear from one of our book club girlies that it's about on the same level as like Game of Thrones gore. If you have read that one, I have not read either, but I want to read both. So
They're on the
we'll see.
list.
I'm a little squirmish of a girl, so we'll see. I think for bookshops and Bone Dust, the first one, Legend and Latte, it was fine. It was a cute, cozy read. I just it wasn't what I expected going into it. So I think it's gonna kind of be hit or miss. It felt very D&D inspired. Um, and it was less I went into it for the romance, which maybe I shouldn't have done because it is just supposed to be like they're just trying to set up this coffee shop in a fantasy world, and it's cute, but I guess I want a little bit more plot, and
Yeah,
that's on me.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Um,
haven't read any of these other
yeah,
guys.
I haven't. Ninth House, I
Ninth
have
House?
heard not so great things about. Um, but it's on here. It's really popular. Lee Bardugo has some great other like
Mhm.
works.
Dark Academia.
Yeah, but the thing that's really exciting is Mistborn's on here by Brandon Sanderson, which is what I have been told by multiple people, especially Aubrey, is a great introduction into the Brandon Sanderson
Yes.
universe, and I cannot wait to read that book. It is very
Oh,
high on my shelf. I think I just need to buy it because I always forget
yeah.
about it. So I need to buy it so I see it and I'm like, this, if it's right in front of my face, I'll read it and won't get sucked into some other trends. But
Mhm.
Mistborn is on here, which is so exciting that people are reading Brandon Sanderson. And that is truly fantasy.
I mean, it's so exciting that people are reading Brandon Sanderson, who is like the top most successful fantasy author of our time, Peyton. Like but yes, Mistborn is so, so, so good. I just finished listening to the second book in the trilogy, and part one was a little slow, but once I got like into it, once we got back in, it was so good. Like I'm so excited to finish the last book in the trilogy. Mistborn follows a main character. Her name's Vin, and she is a thief, and she gets recruited by a heist lord. No, a heist lord. I don't know what I'm saying. By by a bunch of other criminals to participate in a heist against the Lord Ruler, who's like the king. So like the concept of this world is like, what if like Voldemort won, or like what if Sauron won? Like you go through this big epic thing, and then the bad guy, he's like, oh thanks, I'm win now, and now I'm like ruling, and I have like this really dark city. And so then criminals are like, hey, A team lost, B team's just gonna rob the shit out of him. And so it's her little heist journey. There's a little bit of like romance plot line. I will say, do not expect a lot of romance out of a man. But she like has to pretend to be a noblewoman, and she goes to balls as like a spy. The magic system's super unique. So I would definitely recommend it. The ending of all Brandon Sanderson books are crazy.
Yes, both women and men have recommended this book. So
Yes.
it's safe. So
It's a
that's
safe one.
yeah, that's the overview of our fantasy list. Don't want to drag on too long because we do have a bit to get through. Um, but all in all,
Yes.
I'm happy we could talk to this a bit. I was surprised to see some things on here. Where do you want to
Yeah.
move to next?
Do we wanna jump down to young adult, and then we'll skip back up to the top? Because
Yep.
I know young adult's gonna have
Oh yes,
some of the books
definitely.
that we've been thinking about.
Yeah, so the first 4 books on the young adult
Mhm.
list, oh, I'm happy you're making a proper introduction, Senna. Is say hello everyone.
Senna!
Hi. So the first 2 series up here, we have the Divine Rivals series, and we also
Yes.
have the start of Throne of Glass. So it looks like a lot of people started reading Throne of Glass this year
They're
because
getting in there.
Throne of
They finished
1
ACOTAR,
and 2
and they're
are on
like,
there.
"Okay, okay, it's time."
I can't believe ACOTAR isn't anywhere on here. I think
I
that people
know.
started with ACOTAR and now they're like going
Yes.
back. So let's like reverse a little bit here. We have Divine
Yes.
Rivals and Ruthless Vows, which of course are up here because
Mhm.
those were very popular books. Ruthless Vows came out in January. Um,
Yes.
and we
So
read
that's
those.
like, oh, that's a lot of people committing to the second book.
Yeah, it's interesting to see book 2
Mhm.
on the
Yeah,
top
no, for
Sophie's list.
sure. I
Yeah.
do think that Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows also shares that crossover space where people who aren't strictly fantasy readers are coming to it. Divine Rivals is, gosh, there's so much. I like. It's not even a fantasy book. It feels like it's
Historical fiction, magical realism,
magical
romance.
realism. It's very strong on like its aesthetics. It's a journalist. It exists in that gaslamp fantasy setting where like it's more modern than like medieval fantasy. She works at a newspaper. She goes to report on this fantasy war. There's a lot of like cobblestones and trench coats and kitten heels. It feels like the folklore album.
Yeah, the imagery for this book is like amazing.
Yes.
So they're good. We liked them. I mean,
Yes.
I'll say I liked them. I didn't love them. Um,
Mhm.
for being a folklore girly myself, I was just like, I was expecting fantasy,
Yes, I think you should go into the mindset of it
historical
not being
fiction.
fantasy, and I think that would have made me
Helped
enjoy book 1 a little bit more.
100%. I was like a new fantasy book, and it like really wasn't. Now
Switching
fantasy though.
gears.
Switching gears, Throne of Glass is where like fantasy people
Yes.
thrive. Throne of Glass is Sarah J. Maas's like first book series that she wrote. They are
Mhm.
her like babies. And
Yes.
so I think what a lot of people have done, and like what I did, is read
Mhm.
ACOTAR, read Crescent City, and now we're reading Throne of Glass. We're kind of waiting.
Yes.
We want doing like a full circle here. So Throne of Glass is the in publishing order the first one.
Mhm.
And then Crown of Midnight is book two. Um,
Yes.
so it's a great story. It's really long.
Yeah, it's really okay, so the plot of book 1, we will say this story
Oh,
is one of those that, like, changes and
n-
evolves as you go. The
you're not ready
What's
for how much.
Yes. It's very much it starts small and builds into a save the world plot. But book 1 follows Selena, and she is an assassin who has been chosen by the prince to compete in a series of trials to become the official king's assassin. And there's like a little bit, it's like a land without magic, but it's like this story of like magic slowly coming back. It's very, very good. It grows so much. I'm literally wearing my Manon Blackbeak. She's a character that doesn't get introduced until the second half of the series.
Yeah, you won't see her
Um,
in any of those books.
but when she does get introduced, you'll hate her and then you'll love her. It's so good. I would recommend the Throne of Glass series with my whole heart.
Yes. Good start on the young adult section. I mean, of
Yes.
course, we have the next number 5 is the next Hunger Games book or the prequel, which makes
Yes.
sense. We have an Allie Hazelwood book there. That's one of her newer ones we read. Bride this year, which
Yes.
sucks not to see up here. That we really enjoyed that one. It was fun to
Mhm.
read. A
Yeah, I had the
popular
opportunity to buy Check and Mate at a small bookstore at the beach, signed copy, and at that point I hadn't like read any Allie Hazelwood yet. I didn't really know who she was, and I didn't, and I think back to that as a mistake all the time. Whenever
see,
I see it, I'm like, I
could
could have
hold it at
had
least.
a pretty signed copy. There were versions she signed with like 3 different markers, so you could pick like what color you want the sign thing. It was so stupid. I regret.
That is something you should look at.
Yes.
That's great. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder has been really popular. That's Holly Jackson. We've not
Yes.
read those, but I've heard a lot about them.
And the adaptation just got released or announced. I'm not entirely sure where in the spectrum
Oh
is,
crap!
but
I
I
didn't
know
know
that there
that.
is a TV show and I think it came out, but I could be wrong because
Yeah,
I don't super
let us
follow
know,
it.
Holly Jackson fans. I know people eat these books up,
Yes.
obsessed with them. I think there's like 4 in the series too. So
Mhm.
and maybe that'll be a good October palette
Yeah.
cleanser for us. And then of course we have Powerless by Lauren Roberts. If you've been on our channel at all in the past, I don't know, 2 months, you really know our thoughts on these. I'm gonna leave
Mhm.
you all on a little cliffhanger here. Go watch. We have a spoiler-free section in all of our podcasts. If you have not
Yes.
read Powerless yet and want to know our opinion, we also just reviewed Reckless, which came out a few weeks ago. That's the second book in the series. We also gave our thoughts on that. So we have podcast episodes for both of those books up. For a lot of these books, honestly, we have podcast
Mhm. Yeah.
episodes. So, but if you haven't read them yet, you want to know our like spoiler-free opinions on them. Every episode does have a section in the beginning, so you can get
Yes.
that. But if you have read them and are dying to know all the hot tea of what we think about this, let's just
Mhm.
say it's piping. So go to those episodes and maybe we'll link them down below.
Yeah.
So you can just click and watch them and let us know what you think. But it makes sense why it is on this list.
Yes. Next is Heartstopper, which I honestly only know the TV show. It
Yeah.
makes sense that
People
it's a
love it
book,
though.
but yeah, the little a little gay romance.
I love it. I've never heard of this next book. If
No, me
He Had Been
either.
With Me by Laura Nolan. Everyone let us know what you think of it. I've never heard of
Yeah.
it. It looks like a book I would have read in 2010.
It
Um,
yeah, well, it is no, it is on Kindle Unlimited, so maybe it got popular with that crowd. I'm not
that's true.
entirely sure.
Stephanie Garber's on here with Once Upon a Broken Heart. This book has been on my TBR for so long. People say they love it more than Fourth Wing, and that's saying a lot if you're a fantasy girl.
I've
So,
seen some mixed reviews.
oh really?
Now that, like, I think the next book, like, the 2nd or 3rd book in this has come out, because I know that this is very romance-based. I mean, it's called Once Upon a Broken Heart, duh, and so it's, like, twisting fairy tales, and there's something with romance, and I know people are obsessed with the 1st book, and I still wanna read it, but now that the 2nd book has come out, I've seen few people be like, "Okay, it's getting old." So,
Oh,
we'll
well,
see.
I would love to know my opinion on that. And then finishing off, this book has held strong, and it's on Kindle Unlimited, so maybe that's why. But this book has held
Yeah,
strong. We
as
got
she should,
Cruel Prince by Holly
as she
Black. This
should.
is a classic if you're looking to get into fantasy. If you love fantasy, it's for both
Mhm.
sides of the spectrum. Oh my god, we love Cruel
It's
Prince here.
it's amazing. It's my favorite book. My last name is Greenbrier. I love this. I think everyone should read it.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. It's a mortal girl who has to live in a fey world, and she fights tooth and claw to stay there. It's got a lot of political intrigue. It's got, like, the prose is beautiful. Let's go to the fiction section because I could spend all day talking about the Cruel
Oh
Prince.
yes, I think
All
we
right.
reviewed Cruel Prince on here too. So
Yes,
way
yes, we
back.
definitely did.
So
Way back when.
yeah,
Um, Up at the top of the fiction section, what we talked about already, we're going to skim through these and only talk
yep,
about kind of the ones that we have stuff
yep.
to talk about. But number one is Yellowface, which
Yellow
we just
face.
reviewed on the pod. We have a whole episode out. It was a book club pick for Asian Heritage Month. Love it. I love Rebecca Kwong.
5-star
I think
read.
she's 5-star read. It's so good. It's political satire. It's dark. It's so there's a billion things. If you're interested in the publishing industry, I think it's got a great insight on that as well. She's such a good, like, writer, and her, like,
Yes.
discography, I don't that's what you say for musicians. I don't know.
Yeah.
Her works are
Yeah.
all have a ton of range. I mean, Poppy War is on here, Babel's on here,
Everything's on
Yellowface is
there.
on here.
Yep.
Like, she's popping off as she should. She also is the one who told us that Taylor Swift drinks a vodka Diet Coke,
Yes.
and that has become, like, a staple of mine to order at the bar, and it's good. Taylor's right, Rebecca Kwong's right.
Yep.
Beautiful. I think I
Yep.
don't know.
I'm with you. I know. I order them too now. Yes, Yellowface, highly recommend that. That should be number
Yes.
one. Happy that it's popular. People are reading about that. Number two is Tomorrow, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow. I wish I could say I've read this book. I want to read this book. I have this book. I just haven't gotten there.
I
And
know.
apparently it's amazing. And so I'm happy it's here. Number
Yes.
three is Remarkably Bright Creatures. We have read this book. We read it in
Mhm.
April or March.
Yes. Yeah, I think no, March.
March for book club.
Yes.
It is it tells the story of a couple people. It's
Mhm.
like a split POV book of like three people.
Yes.
And the biggest theme of this book is grief told from the perspective of an octopus. And
Yes.
his name's Marcellus. He's very sassy. He's very witty. And in the audiobook, he has a British accent. And he is an incredible.
Flamboyant.
He's a remarkably bright creature.
Yes.
And basically, you start off the book knowing that Marcellus is going to die. His days are
Mhm.
limited, and it kind of is that countdown to his death. But human stories are roped into this, and they all
Yes.
intertwine in some way. It's a little bit of mystery,
A little bit of found
found
family.
family, take a different perspective on grief from a sea
Mhm.
creature. Absolutely heartbreaking, amazing story. If you are a lit fic girly, this book is
Yes.
for you. Um,
Mhm.
I could see where you could get bored with it, but it really is a
Yeah.
remarkable story.
That's another one I'd recommend to listen to. I think the people who listened had a more enjoyable
Yeah,
experience.
100%. And it's not that long. Now,
Yeah.
speaking of literary fiction and people loving stories and books being popular, number 4 is Tom Lake. And honestly, I can't really say great things about this book.
No.
We read this for book club.
Yes.
Didn't really love this that
Mm.
much. Now, I was
No.
at a book club party on Monday and we were talking about it, and the consensus and what we also came to at book club was that this is for that 50-year-old, 60-year-old
Mhm.
empty nesting mother.
Yeah.
That's the
That's it.
demographic.
That's it. And
That's
trigger
it.
warning, they talk about COVID.
Yeah.
'Cause that turned me off. Yeah, it's a mother recounting her more, like, scandalous days trying to be an actor,
It makes sense. It
to
just
her
wasn't that
daughters
great.
during COVID time. It's got a dual timeline. Yeah,
You could see where it could be great, but
yeah.
it just wasn't.
Kinda scrolling down here, I do see Normal People. I know that that has been a top book
For
for
years.
ever, ever. I will say that I'm pretty sure Sally Rooney doesn't use quotation marks, and that is the only reason I have never read this book and
I
never put it on
heard
my
that
TBR.
too.
Like, maybe you could listen to it, but I don't know. There's something about committing to the aesthetic, but also I don't wanna.
I don't wanna commit to that aesthetic.
No,
A
no.
Little Life is on here, which I refuse to read.
Yup.
I think
Yup.
I'm good.
People bawl, and, like, that's a book
It's
if
too
you
big of a
wanna
book for me.
cry. I honestly don't know anything about it besides you're gonna be crying like the man on the cover.
I know, like, a huge trigger warning.
Yeah.
I think it takes place in New York. I heard that someone sets himself on fire in it, and it's really sad. Like, I'm
Um,
good, and it's huge. This book is huge, and I've seen it ruin people's lives, and
yeah,
I, quite frankly, do not need that in my
I don't need
life.
that. The Secret History is dark academia. I think I've heard that it's very similar also to If We Were Villains. It kinda exists in that same plane. If you read one or the other, you might like the other. Um, I also heard that this My Year of Rest and Relaxation, is supposed to be funny, but I also thought it was historical fiction, so I don't know.
No, I think it takes place in modern day New York. I read a
Oh,
chapter of it the
really?
other day. Yeah.
Because look at that
Um
cover.
it's supposed to be like basically this like depressed woman.
Mm.
And she like is really depressed, and it talks about her. Well, I don't know, like I don't
So
really
maybe
know a lot
not
about.
funny.
I've heard mixed review. It's like satirical also
Yeah.
kind of too.
Mhm.
But in like a I think you have to be a little damaged to laugh at it, which is
Yeah.
perfect for me.
Which
So I read a chapter of it and it seems very like I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I
we'll
got
see.
sidetracked with a fantasy story. So oh, and The Bell Jar is on here, by
Oh,
Sylvia Plath. I've been wanting to read this for the longest time. I just haven't
mm.
gotten around to it. And Ellen Hildebrand is making an entrance into the girly market this year.
Yes.
Hotel Nantucket's a huge one that everyone loves. This is the 5-star weekend, and a show's coming out. An
Hmm.
Ellen Hildebrand show. I forget which one it is. I don't know something. I don't know. The covers all look the
Yeah.
same, and honestly, the titles all mesh together for me. But that show's coming out. I think Netflix is making it. So if
Interesting. We'll
you're
have
into
to
that,
check it
I
out.
want to read Hotel Nantucket because it has ghosts in it, and I think that'd be really fun.
Mm.
Um,
Historical fiction number 1 is
whoa,
another book club book that we loved, Lessons in Chemistry.
yes, Lessons in Chemistry. If you guys haven't read Lessons in Chemistry yet, what are you doing? I remember when this book came out, I was like, this cover
Mhm.
sucks. I don't like it. It looks really girly, whatever. I got the alternative cover because I hate this
Yes.
cover. And then secondly, I read the book and absolutely loved it. It's one of my favorite book
Mhm.
club books so far. I mean, Yellowface,
Yes.
I think, is gonna take that crown. But
Mhm.
oh my god, Lessons in Chemistry was so good, and the show is so good.
I still haven't seen it.
You're gonna you're gonna love
I
it.
know. I
You're gonna
know.
love
I
it.
really need to.
It's well
It's
made.
good. It's like, it's very much feminist life story. We follow our main character kind of through her journey in the 50s and kind of having to choose between like different lives and choices of just like life throws shit at her face.
Being
And
assigned to a woman's chemist in the 1950s.
yes, it's so good. It's a little slow, I will say at first. But I think that's also just like genre and plotting and stuff like that. But it is definitely a well worth it story to read.
Yes, definitely worth it. The second one is Daisy Jones and the Six. It's so funny seeing this in historical fiction. I read Daisy Jones. I listened to Daisy Jones and the Six. And if you want to read Daisy Jones and the Six, listen to it because it's written as like a script.
Yeah.
And so you're going to get a more interactive story listening to
Mhm.
Daisy Jones and the Six. It's also a TV series, and it is amazing.
Yeah.
Highly recommend watching that too. It's my least favorite TJR book, but nonetheless, it's TJR and you can't go wrong.
Yes. I think the TV show definitely bumped it up here. We read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo for book club, and I really recommend that one. I'm sure I would love this one if I ever get around to it.
Yeah. You know what's so funny is
Mm.
Kristen Hanna's The Nightingale and then
Mhm.
Anthony Doerr's All the Light We Cannot See are next to each other. And it's so funny because I always mix those two books up and they're right next to each other on this list.
Their covers look similar too.
I think that's maybe why.
Yeah.
Both of these books, if you're looking at this list, it are
Mhm.
have gotten very high praises. I think they
Yes.
both take place during World War II, I wanna say.
I
Um
know All the Light We Cannot See does because my mom, before she found smut, was really into Holocaust books. That's all she wanted to read about. So I got her All the Light We Cannot See for her birthday. Unfortunately, that was the same month that she found smut and has not looked back.
uh,
So
yeah, I know All the Light We Cannot See, believe it takes place in England. I'm not gonna talk about it because I really don't know, but I
yeah.
know that my what I do know is that in high school, my AP Lit teacher
Mhm.
said to me, "Okay, you have to read these 2 books," and
Yeah.
one was All the Light We Cannot See, and one was Where the Crawdads Sing, and,
Mm.
as we all know, I read Where the Crawdads Sing and never looked
Yes.
back, like your mom. So
So
maybe I
I
had to I should go back to that.
I've heard
Um
great things. I also the Heaven and Earth and grocery store, whatever. I know that I've heard good things. My one friend read it in her book club and said that it was a really good book club pick. I feel like it has very similar like themes of just like life kind of
Life,
thing.
oppression, all
Yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah.
Mhm. Er
Um, Wayward on here really surprises me because that is fantasy.
Yeah, I thought it was fantasy too. Um,
Um,
oh my god, Where the Crawdads Sing is on here too. That's great. I didn't even see that. See, they're right next to each other. I'm
there,
having like
yeah.
but the fact that these books are still popular now and I've been out
Hmm.
of high school for like 5 years, that's crazy.
Yes,
The
very
berry
telling.
the berry pickers I've seen a lot, and I have no idea what those are about what that's
Mm,
about, but I've seen them on people's bookshelves. I have not heard about the Frozen River. I've never heard of the Covenant of Water.
me
And I
either.
know Kristen Hanna's name, but I've never read The Great Alone. TJR book, Carrie Soto is back. I'm looking at it right now. I have it. I just haven't
Yes.
read it.
No. I would like to read Wayward.
Me too. That cover is so pretty.
It is. Okay.
What do you guys think?
Mystery. Um,
Have we read any of these?
haven't read,
I
haven't
read the
read,
guest
haven't read.
list. The guest list is number 3 on here. I highly recommend the book. It was great. I know the maid, like the mystery guest, those books are really
Mhm.
popular. If we were
Yeah.
villains, I kinda wanted to read.
Is that on here?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a different cover than the one I feel like I've seen before. Interesting. Oh, it says it's on KU.
Oh
That's
crap.
another dark academia. I'm pretty sure like someone kills someone and you have to figure out like who in the friend group done it. Um,
The last thing
not
you
sure.
told me is a oh god, what sunshine no, what is it called? That new production company Reese Witherspoon made. Anyways,
I
that is a
see.
TV series.
I do recognize the cover. Like, that's one of the few covers that I recognize. I'm not a huge mystery person, though.
Yeah, I've gotten into it, and Riley Sager's not on here. What the
I know. I wonder. I think there's Thriller. He'll probably be on Thriller.
he's in Thriller?
Which, let's. Or do you have anything else for mystery?
Hell
All
no.
right. Science fiction, number one.
Oh, we gotta talk about one of my favorite books in the entire world. Andy Weir's Project Hail Mary's on here. Guys, if you have not read this book yet, I was like out of my science fiction girly era. And then
Mm-hmm.
I had this on my shelf and I was like, I'm just gonna read it. Read it in two
Yeah.
freaking days. And it usually takes me a hot minute to read science fiction because it's just a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, Ryan Gosling is going to be playing the main character of this book in a movie. Read it. Read it.
Read it.
Anyways, Dune's on here. We all know Dune. Of
Dune.
course, Dune's on
Dune's
here.
big. Chloe got Dark Matter, book number 5 for Jacob for his birthday, and she said that she really liked it. And I know she's not like huge in the science fiction, so she said it was like kind of like mind fucky, if I remember correctly.
Fahrenheit 451, of course, is on here. Everyone should have
That's
read that book by now. The Sea.
Everyone's reading that for high school.
I
I
know.
know it is good, but it's a classic, so you
Yeah,
gotta.
you're like, which one of these are some required summer reading?
Yes.
And then Sea of Tranquility. I literally am looking at it right now. It says one to read. That's been on my TBR for a very long time. I don't know if I'll get to it anytime soon, but I was interested in it, and I love the cover.
That is a really I like the name even, Sea of Tranquility.
Oh, I know. It's
I'm not really a science fiction gal, but that does look cute.
Now on to
Horror.
I have Bunny on my TBR.
Mm,
I have yet to read that. Tenders the Flesh I did read.
It's interesting that Stephen King is a number 1.
Oh, I know. I was expecting
Number
to.
2.
Yeah, he's number 2 on here.
Mexican Gothic is on here. I am still currently borrowing that from Peyton. I plan to read it this September. I missed the fall mark last year, and so I'm just like I need to wait.
Yeah, that's if you guys want like a little horror and a quick read, Mexican Gothic is great. I think it's more mystery. The ending, I think about it as a little like, what the fuck is happening? Tenders the Flesh I read. I was interested in this book cover. It's about a world in which we treat humans like cattle, and it's
I'm just remembering what
cannibalism.
you've told me about this. Ugh.
Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. Do not read that book unless you are prepared to want to throw up. Yes.
In the morning before you've eaten. Oh, there's a is that Frankenstein? People are jumping into the classics here.
Oh yeah,
I
this
saw
is
Mary Shelley and I was like, wait a minute.
It
Wait
says
a damn minute.
Frankenstein. Yeah, it is Frankenstein. That's great. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, that was really popular a couple years ago.
Yeah. Didn't they make an adaptation of that? Maybe I'm crazy.
I'm not sure. I just remember like that was really popular. Okay, so now we're getting on to the grand finale, I think, here.
Yeah, we're hitting the end here. Romance.
We're just trying to zoom through.
Oh, and then nonfiction, but
listen, people, I'm not here to tell you about books I haven't read yet. But so if we say something and you're like, don't zoom over that, you girls need to read that. You need to let us know.
Yes.
And then maybe we'll review it. So romance, I feel like a lot of y'all will relate to. This number 1 here, Icebreaker here. Oh my god, I have not stopped hearing about this damn book, and I have no intention of reading it.
I know, me either. I know, and it got everyone into hockey romances, and I think that is great for the romance girlies. I just don't care.
I'm good. Oh yeah, like hockey romance right now is like the thing.
Yeah, it's like the romantasy for contemporary romance girlies.
We read
you know
that
what I mean?
Viking romantasy book. I was like, this is like the hockey romance, like romantasy. It's like that niche sort of
Mhm.
thing. I think like those like cowboy romances were popular for a while too.
Yes, I think Cowboy for the summer, Cowboy has been trumping.
I'm like keeping an eye on all you
Yeah, yeah.
romance girls.
We're
Um,
watching from
but
afar,
number 2
but we're
is
not
really
reading.
exciting because it's an Emily Henry
Yes.
book, as it should be, and it's Happy Place,
Yes.
as it should be, because Happy Place
Mhm.
is my favorite Emily Henry book. I just won it in a book raffle, and I'm very happy because I didn't have
Ooh.
a physical copy of it until now. Happy Place is amazing. Forced proximity, fake
Mhm.
dating, found family,
Second chance
second
romance.
chance romance.
Yes.
All the
She loves
best
her
things
tropes.
ever. Yeah,
No,
she
Emily
loves
Henry's
her tropes.
really good, and I will say the beginning of this book, the first chapter is the worst first chapter I've ever read in my life. Just move past it, just push through. Once I hit that 45-page mark, which is my gold standard for whenever I start a book, I need to hit 45 pages so I feel invested and I will want to pick it back up again. It really kicks off and it's good. I did enjoy Funny Story more though. But that just came out in May.
Yeah, just trigger warning for how Emily picks her female main
Oh
characters'
my
names.
god. They're
Not great.
horrible.
The Happy Place, I believe her name's Harriet. They call her
Yes.
Harry.
Yeah.
Maybe if this was like an English romance, but it's not. It takes place in
It's
Maine.
not. Uh,
Um,
Twisted Love by Anna Huang.
oh, this is what the original covers look like.
Yes, yes. I actually, my mom's best friend's cousin, which is like so whatever. She designed the new covers that I think look a lot better for at least if you're going to display it on your bookshelf and stuff. Obviously, they're not displaying tone quite as well. These are quote unquote by my sister when she gave this book to my mom for Christmas. The smuttiest books I've ever read. It made me feel things that I haven't felt before.
Well, because I was talking with a Barnes and Noble employee, and they're like, these little girls come up with Twisted Love,
Yeah.
and I'm like, hey, because the covers look
Mhm.
YA now.
Yeah.
The one we're looking at on Goodreads for anyone who doesn't look at this list, it's this like
Like
sultry
man.
man,
Yeah.
and the new covers do not look like that.
No, they're like white with like a splash of color,
And that's it.
like in the center or something.
So that's crazy. I've
So
not read these, but
if
they're on
if
KU.
you're, I don't think you would like them because
Mm-mm.
you don't love
Too
a
much
lot of
smut.
spice.
I don't like
Um,
oversaturated smut.
if you do like a lot of spice, I've heard that it's good. I don't recognize these next two.
Wildfire. And
Mhm.
I've seen the cover of Butcher and Blackbird, but I'm not
It looks like
interested.
a dark romance based off
Allie
of the
Hazelwood
skulls
has
and
made
chainsaws.
2 different lists.
Yeah.
So Love Theoretically, she's on.
She's on Twisted Games, which is either the second or third in the Twisted Loves.
Things We Never Got Over and Things We Left Behind are here. I hear those
Mhm.
books are not it. Do not read them. They're too long apparently.
Yeah.
I
I
wasn't going to either. I wasn't going to anyways.
Romance books should be capped at 300 pages and I
Yeah.
stand by that.
Yeah.
It starts with us. I'm pretty
Which
sure it's a money grab.
it's a money grab. My cousin designed this
Yes.
cover. Speaking of,
Look
I
at our
just saw her this
connections.
weekend. Yeah, I this book sucked. She does know that, but
Yeah.
she designed it, which is really cool.
But I
Um,
would totally recommend It Ends With Us. I know it's a little sacrilegious to say that we support a Colleen Hoover book in the Lord's year of 2024, but I really enjoyed It
I
Ends
did
With Us. I
too.
also enjoyed Verity,
Yeah, me
and
too.
I'm not going to pick up another one of her books because I think I read the best two.
You did.
The TV show comes out soon with Blake Lively and Justin. What's his last
Aldoni.
name? Yes, I'm so excited. I don't care. I don't care that y'all want to hate it. I'm going. My mom sent it in like the group chat. She was like, "Are we gonna go see this together?" And I was like, "Yes." And then she goes, "I think Aubrey has bars in her movie theaters," and I was like, "Yes, we do." And she was like, "So we're gonna come get food and like drinks and
Yes,
stuff
go to the
and
movie
watch It Ends
tavern.
With Us."
Yes, and go see
Yes.
that movie coming out. I'm excited for it. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed It Ends With Us too.
Hmm.
Oh, the 7 Year Slip was very popular this year, and I've heard
Yes.
not great things about it. So once again, those
So
are
we'll
all
see.
rumors. Like was popping my tea. And we're ending it with M. Hen again. We got Book
Yes.
Lovers. Book Lovers was the first Emily Henry book I ever read. I
Mhm.
did not love it, but my cousin read it and said it's her favorite book. So
So I plan, Peyton, I'm going to read it within the month because that is
ah,
another one of your books that I have. And I have 3 books that have sat for a year untouched in my living room that are borrowed from Peyton or Chloe. And I'm like, I need to read these books and
well, at
return
least
them
it
to
can,
their owners.
like, we're doing funny story for book club next month.
Yes.
And so you'll be able to be like in the Emily Henry
Mindset.
universe.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
I have the only 2 books I haven't read of hers is People Meet on Vacation and Beach Read. So
Mhm.
maybe I'll join you and
Yeah. I know
jump
people
in.
we meet on vacation, I think that's the one that people bawl to. There's, like, some, like, I think, like, divorced or dead daddy issues. This is total speculation. I have not read these books. Um, and people, like, really cry to that one.
Oh shit.
So,
We'll
that's it.
see. That is
Um,
it. The
yeah, there is
nonfiction
nonfiction.
ones, we don't read nonfiction, but I have read The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and I think
Ooh,
everyone should read that at least once in their life. Mark Manson is an absolute genius.
look at you go.
The Subtle
I
Art of
haven't
Not Giving a Fuck, fucking
read a single one
amazing.
of these.
Great book. I read it and I gave it to everyone in my life, and they're all moms, and all the moms are like,
Mhm.
"Yes!" And I'm like, "Yes." And
And they're, like, a little scandalized by the fuck.
I bought my fiance because he is like likes this kind of stuff, which is gross. Atomic Habits, and I also really like the cover too.
Remember when he bought that one book that he thought was nonfiction because it was by, like, the celebrity?
No, it's Tom Hanks another making of a motion picture, or whatever. And he thought it was, so he read. We're gonna like diss on
It's the
Robert for
funniest
something.
story of my
He
life.
We're like kind of Disney adults, and he read Bob Iger's whatever Ride of a Lifetime or something,
Yeah.
and he loved it, and I gotta say, I liked it too. It was really good, and it was a really
Hmm,
good story and really well written book. So,
mhm.
when Tom Hanks came out with his book, he was like he loves Tom Hanks. So he's
Yeah.
like, "Oh my gosh." Starts reading it, and I look over and he looks sad. And he's like, "I think this is, what do you call it? Fiction?"
Didn't he say he was like, "There's, like,
Story. There's like
characters?"
a character. I'm like, what the heck? So, anyways, yeah, that's been sitting on his. So, if anyone wants to read the Tom Hanks, let me know. I'll mail it to you.
Yeah.
Um, but Atomic Habits by James Clear, I did buy him, and he read most of it. Talk about, it's called Habits, and he only read most of it. But he did, like, sometimes he'll pull it up.
Mhm.
He's like, well, in that book by James Clear, Atomic Habits, and he'll say
Oh,
something. I'm like, okay,
okay, pop
okay,
off.
okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Oh my gosh.
academic. All the rest, honestly, like, I know people love the Four Agreements and stuff, so I don't know. I'm just here to talk about dragons and shit.
Yeah.
But if you're into
We
that,
we
slay.
we do firmly sit within the genre fiction.
I'm happy. I'm happy in like summation or in conclusion that we've
Yes,
been able
in
to at least
summation.
talk about one of the books off each of these lists.
Yes! That's
I'm
so good
really
for
I
us.
know, I'm really proud of us. Book club has really helped us diversify our tastes
Yes.
and keep us on track as readers and keep us humble. Um, I'm really curious what people have read on these lists.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is statistically, anyone watching these videos have had to read at least one of these books on here because they
Yeah.
are if you read like
Yeah.
even if you read classics,
If
like fucking
if you
Frankenstein
read
was on here.
yeah. If you've read a book this year, you have almost definitely read one of these
Yeah,
books,
so
I
what is
feel
that
like.
book? What did you think of it? Is it
Mhm.
I don't know if like they're just popular, but do you think they're good popular books, bad popular
Yeah.
books? Yeah. And as I said, a lot of these books we do have book reviews up of.
Mhm. Yes.
So you can kind of search our profile and find them and see our opinions on them with spoilers and
Yes.
non-spoilers, but
And
with spoilers.
non-spoilers. We do both.
We do both.
A little treat.
Anyways, please subscribe and like and comment and tell us what we're doing wrong and tell us what we're
Yeah.
doing right. We
All
can
right,
take it now.
y'all. I'm gonna cut her off. Um,
And yeah, and some more.
yep. Thank you
I'm
so
gonna
much
shut up.
for joining us. Happy reading.
Happy reading! There's nothing in here.